Like many of you at home, I too am also wondering what is going on right now with Galaxy of Heroes. I'm not actually quite sure. We've got a number of things on the plate with no idea when they are arriving, so I wanted to try and encapsulate all these things that we are waiting for information on, and to pick your brains about a couple of them. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, we did have the release of Forlom this week. He is the very first character marquee that we have had from this particular era, the era of weird stuff going on. Let's just throw random stuff at the board, because we had the Rogue One, which whilst great came out of nowhere. Then we had the B-Wing, which whilst great came out of nowhere. Then we had Forlom, which whilst great came out of nowhere. And then we're going to get Zuckuss, which while maybe could be good, certainly came out of nowhere, but not when you look at Forlom. I guess it kind of makes sense then. We've also got the upcoming era battle for, not the era battle, the upcoming Stranger Conquest, which again kind of came out of nowhere and kind of ends us all a little bit short in terms of content for the rest of the year. This will take us up to about middle of November. Not Stranger's Conquest, of course, that will go on a little bit longer. But once we have finished this round of marquees, after we have got Zuckuss in the game, there's still like a month before CG goes away on their vacation, and I feel like we're still waiting for something to drop. So, first and foremost, I do want to talk about Forlom and the upcoming Zuckuss. This particular era did not have an era battle for the two ships that we got. Yes, I'm talking about the Rogue One and the B-Wing. Fantastic ships, but no era battle was built out around them, which I find kind of confusing, because the era battles themselves have been fantastic ways for people to be incentivized to try and invest in brand new units as they come out. You know, we don't have any era battles open at the moment because they never go on a marquee week. They're always on the off week. So we have been confirmed within the post from CG when they announced this era that we are getting one for Forlom and for Zuckuss. It's going to be a combined one. So the question remains is, what is it going to be about, and when is it going to drop? All we have is that the era battle is called Analysis Paralysis, and that it will use both Forlom and Zuckuss, pursuing the rebellion's greatest heroes through environments from The Empire Strikes Back, which sounds very interesting. Forlom and Zuckuss were part of the team tasked with bringing in Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon as part of a bounty from Darth Vader himself, and that's the only place we really saw them in a live screen adaptation to my knowledge. I don't know if they exist anywhere else in comic books and all that sort of nonsense, but my answer is the answer is probably yes. Not my answer, because I don't have all the answers. I am not Smarties. So, what do we know? Previous era battles have given very, very good rewards. The structure of them has usually been multiple tiers, sort of like 5 to 7 tiers. That gives us some really good rewards. The first 2 tiers require only for you to be, I believe, up to 5 stars. The first one can be done at 3 stars, usually at around about gear 8. Second tier needs 5-star characters, I believe, to enter, and then after that it sort of goes gear 12 and then starts requiring relics to progress through, but it gives us really good stuff. Those first 2 tiers even give you shards of these marquee characters, which again brings me back to the disappointment that when we looked at the Rogue One and the Rebel B-Wing, CG did not give us an era battle for us to earn additional shards of the Rogue One and the Rebel B-Wing. That would have been a nice little pick-me-up, and I know they're not called shards, they're called blueprints. Tomato, tomato, they're literally the same thing. So this era battle is coming out. I would assume it's coming out next week, but usually we get a little bit of notification around about what's happening. So this era battle Analysis Paralysis may well not even drop for another 2 weeks yet, or 2 weeks and a bit once we have Zuckuss in the game. It's hard to say. Previously, CG has released these era battles before you have the whole team to actually engage in it. Later on, they've changed it over to you need to have quite a few of the characters. But considering this is just Forlom and Zuckuss, I can only assume that they'll probably wait until we actually get Zuckuss into the game. I don't know. It's hard to say whether you should be investing heavily in Forlom and Zuckuss to take advantage of this era battle without us having confirmation of exactly what's in there. And this sort of cycles back to my whole concern right now with the current system is we need a little bit of feedback from CG just to say, hey guys, we haven't forgotten. We haven't forgotten about what's coming up. We know there's an era battle and we know you want to know. what's going on in the area battle, what are the rewards, what are the barriers to entry. Usually there is a tier that requires R9. Previous ones have given us 2,000 crystals if you beat the R9 tier, which is a nice kickback, right? Because R9 is still incredibly expensive. Brings us back to another point that I want to talk about, and that is the fabled Smuggler's Run 3. It has been some months since we've had Pirate King Hondo into the game now. A lot of us have been investing in him or working towards him because he's actually quite a fun GL at the end of the day. Maybe he came in falling a little bit like a wet fish, but that was really because it was getting exacerbated by the current Datacron set of the day, and we just did not have any realistic way of testing him appropriately without his own Datacron. Now that he's properly embedded into the game, we've had some time to test him and use him, it turns out, yeah, good unit, good squad, good team, happy about it. However, CG did promise us that we were going to get a third iteration of Smuggler's Run. Unfortunately, the last update that we got on the era of piracy and era battle and Smuggler's Run 3 was 4 months ago, to my knowledge. 4 months ago. They said the era battle was, you know, the Raiders of the Outer Rim, and we did all that, and it was good stuff, and it was originally bugged, and you could take in OG Pirate King Hondo, OG Hondo, into the final tier for the very first run for like the first couple of hours, so we managed to sneak in under the radar there and get 2,000 crystals before Pirate King Hondo was in the game. But hey, you know what they say, exploit early and exploit often, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to talking about the upcoming Smuggler's Run 3, what did we say? There's a shanty going on. The economy event that we desired. Hondo at Relic 3 and 9 required. That's literally all we have. All we have. Now we can speculate about what is actually going to be in Smuggler's Run 3, and we can speculate as to why we haven't had any information about it, why it hasn't landed yet, because realistically speaking, a lot of people have invested in getting Pirate King Hondo now to try and take advantage of Smuggler's Run 3, and the longer it goes on without it being in the game, the more frustrated people get. You know, there's a reason why everybody advises everybody to farm Jabba the Hutt. It's because Smuggler's Run 2 is phenomenal. It is the best source of mod slicing materials in the game. It is incredibly valuable. So when they say it is similar to Jabba's Run of 2, talking about Smuggler's Run 2, people do get a little bit excited. Now, requiring Relic 3 to 9 of Hondo doesn't say if it's Pirate King Hondo or OG Hondo. It's kind of a mute event if you've already pushed for Pirate King Hondo, because in order to get Pirate King Hondo, you need OG Hondo at Relic 9, and he is a GL. Most people will take a GL to the minimum of like Relic 7. Pushing him to Relic 9 is certainly not a bad thing, even if it's not required, yada yada yada. It's a little bit disappointing that we haven't heard anything more about Smuggler's Run 3. I'm excited. I want to know what we're getting. The only thing that I can think that is delaying any announcement around what is going on with Smuggler's Run 3 is because it's tied into all of the work that is currently ongoing at CG around Relic Delta, around the changes to the Relic economy, and Relic 10. That last point, I think, is the most important bit. I have to assume that Smuggler's Run 3 is going to be one of the sources in which we get Relic 10 materials. And the only real clue we have from that is from CG's post a while back. This comes from the dev team when they were talking about why are we doing all these changes with Relic Delta sort of thing, what are the options, why did we arrive at the choice that we have arrived at, and I'm happy to say that a lot of the figures that we were originally presented with the version 1 version of Relic Delta scaling has been drastically reduced and reined in because, quite frankly, it was absurd, let's be honest. So that's great that one, CG is listening, and two, that they have involved us in that feedback process so that we can actually get working on this to try and make it land not quite so badly. Anyway, this was still 22 days ago. This was 3 weeks ago that we discussed this, and if we go down to Relic 10, Relic 10 is being added to the game. Those pleasy wires, it doesn't solve the core problem. They're talking about the scalability, and to be honest, to a degree, I actually agree with them, and other content creators are starting to see that as well. We're just going to have to get used to it. I've seen even Arnold saying that he agrees in principle that we need some sort of scalability, yada yada yada. Anyway, they say that Relic 10 will use a new signal data which will not be farmed with energy. so it won't disrupt our current signal data farming. Obviously, this ties into the changes that they want to make to the relic economy upcoming. Instead, the new signal data will be available in both the scavenger and other game modes. It's that last bit that gets me, other game modes. That gives them a little bit of flexibility about where they introduce these Relic 10 mats. Is it going to be pushed into an overhaul of TW? Is it going to be pushed into an overhaul of GAC? Is it going to be introduced into things like Smuggler's Run 3 and maybe even future era battles? Maybe that Relic 9 tier is no longer going to give us 2,000 crystals, but instead it's going to give us 20 thingamajiggers. Beskar, Kyber crystal encoded, crusted midichlorian dust that we need for Relic 10. We are just making wild speculation at this point, but all of the signs seem to point to let's get Relic Delta over the line, let's introduce Relic 10. As a means of that, we'll get Smuggler's Run 3. That's going to help people get Relic 10. I can only assume. Now, if we looked at previous Smuggler's Runs, they are exclusively around trying to increase your allocation or income of modding materials. CG have not made any note that we are going to get a change or an overhaul to mods. We're not getting like 7.mods or another way, and so, something else like mod calibration mats where maybe, I don't know, you can manually choose which stat to re-roll or something like that, right? Or you can only improve a stat. So say you've got a roll of 3 on speed, you can force it to be either 4, 5, or 6, but it can't go back down. You know what I'm saying? Because that's one of the issues with mod calibration, is you can calibrate a mod to get a better stat, and you can re-roll it onto the same stat, but worse. It's literally like getting slapped in the face. Now, I don't think that's what we are going to get with Smuggler's Run 3, simply because of the delay. I feel like Smuggler's Run 3 will be focused more on Relic 10 mats. Don't know if that is actually going to be the case though. This last bit that they're talking about here is kind of the last bit that I really want to talk about. Relic Delta has obviously been a very divisive topic, right? And understandably so. We are kind of resistant to change as a people, and I'm not talking about the SWGOH community, I just mean the human race. We don't like a whole lot of change. That is, we are a race that likes the path of least resistance. It's just kind of biology, really. And change is most resistance, I guess. So I understand that Relic Delta has been a little bit divisive within the community, even if things are starting to become a little bit more accepted now. What would be handy is if CG would be able to give us a little bit more information about how the Relic economy is going to change with the introduction of Relic Delta, okay? Because they said, they listened to us, they said, I get it, you guys are concerned that you are going to now have to spend hordes and hordes of materials trying to up the average Relic levels across all of your teams that you've kept at Relic 5 or Relic 3. Maybe somebody's rocking R5 Treya. Me, I'm somebody. Maybe somebody's rocking like, R5 on the Starkiller squad that can still be R9 Rays, and that's going to go the way of the dodo. I mean, it's not actually strictly true, having done the testing and stuff like that, but the point is, people were concerned that we just do not have the economy to support relicking up a large amount of our characters because the game just doesn't help us get there. CG says they're listening to that. They're saying there will be a new game mode, new events, and an update to era-related journey guide events, ensuring that all players get to use new characters right away for valuable rewards. We want players to be able to enjoy the latest characters and content being released to the game. This is one element of it, right? Okay, so what does this tell me? We're getting a new game mode, which I absolutely love. This is a game that has, it's a live service game, guys. We can't just wait once a year for a new raid. We can't wait 3-4 years for a new relic level, for a new TB. Conquest, I think, was the last new game mode that we've had. And when did Conquest come out? Like 2002? I'm not even sure. But regardless, we do need to get new types of game modes come to the game to keep us engaged and keep us interested in the game. Shake things up a little bit, okay? New events is fine, but an event can be anything like an era battle, which is essentially just assault battles rebranded as something else, right? What does interest me is an update to era-related journey guide events. This is interesting because they are talking about here giving us the ability to use new characters right away for valuable rewards and essentially letting us use new characters straight away. What does that mean? I'm kind of interested in saying, you know, when we have like the Jedi Master Mace Windu event, that was an era-related journey guide event because it was the unlock at the end of a journey guide, right? Of an era, sorry. I don't know if what they're saying is by completing or unlocking, say, Jedi Master Mace Windu, I don't think it'll apply retroactively. If we were to unlock all the characters and do the Era Journey Guide event, are they actually going to give us those characters at, say, Relic 3, Relic 4, Relic 5, just for unlocking them? If you think about it, we've already gone through and done the really hard work of farming up a bunch of marquees and relicking them all the way up to Relic 5 or Relic 7 or Relic 9 or whatever the relic count is. Wouldn't it be kind of nice if the unlock that you get from that, you don't have to spend 3 million credits and spend 700 Chirotech and then put a load of ability materials and Zetas and all this sort of business. I doubt they give us the Zetas, but I would understand if they didn't give us the Omicrons as well, right? But if they just gave us that little kick, just even if it's just for the unlock character, you know, I'm talking about the actual legendary character, that would be really nice. So that you don't have to worry about gearing that character. Just like, by the way, boom, you've unlocked him. It means you've actually unlocked him. You know what I'm saying? You've actually got like maybe Relic 3, maybe Relic 5, maybe Relic 7. That would be a really nice way to pay the player back. Now, how this translates into what does this mean for new characters? How is CG going to handle letting us use new characters? I hope it's not like, oh, you've got the event-based characters. You know, they're just like, we've given you a Gear 10 character to use as an event character. Go ahead and use it. But how does this mean that we get to use new characters right away for valuable rewards? What does that look like in the world? What does valuable rewards mean? Does that mean we're getting gear from them? Or are we going to get characters actually unlocked at higher tiers of gear? Are we going to get, so say you finish a 3-star marquee, are you going to get that character at 3-star but gear 12 or gear 13? Are we going to get him at Relic 1, Relic 2, Relic 3? If that is the case, that would be great in terms of easing gearing, because now we never have to worry about gearing new characters, we can just use them, even if they're at low stars. But CG has to make sure that they don't tie any of this together with, you know, whipping out your wallet, opening it up, and sort of like, you know, getting all the dust out of it and literally dropping hard cash on the game. This can't be another whale incentive. It can't be a whale exclusive thing, right? They've got to come out here. They've got to really sort out and take away that pain in a meaningful way while still maintaining the integrity of what it means to advance in this game. They can't give us everything. They shouldn't give us everything for free. We shouldn't just be like, new marquee, Relic 9, booyah, enjoy. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. But they do need to come up with a way to help us ease the relic economy for the player base so that people can actually look to engage in this game mode without getting absolutely destroyed. Cool. I know this was a bit of a meandering and pontificating sort of video for you guys. I just wanted to touch up base on a couple of things that are irking me. So to give you guys an update in terms of Relic Delta testing, that is still ongoing at the moment. We're trying to figure out a couple of fringe cases and try to get to an understanding with CG around a couple of things. No indication as of yet as to when that is dropping. I'm sure you guys will probably find out around about the same time we do. If I get to have any information to share with you, trust that I will share. If you want to be involved in the Relic Delta discussion, please do look in the link down below. Join my Discord and come have a chat with us. We're very, very active in there. I'll respond like pretty much immediately to all questions. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, see you all soon. Did anybody tell you you're really good looking? Peace.